Imagine a prophet so fearless that he stood before kings, so devoted that fire descended from heaven at his command, and so faithful that he didn't taste death, but was taken straight to heaven. This is the story of Elijah, one of the most powerful and dramatic prophets in the Bible, whose life was a testament to the supreme power of God. Elijah's ministry began during a dark and turbulent period in Israel's history. The nation was ruled by King Ahab and his foreign wife, Queen Jezebel. Together, they had plunged the kingdom into deep spiritual decay, abandoning the worship of the God of Israel and promoting the worship of Baal, a Canaanite deity. Temples to Baal were built, and the people were led astray, forgetting their covenant with God. It was into this corrupt and idolatrous landscape that God sent Elijah, a man from Tishbe to lead, whose name itself means "My God is Yahweh." He appeared seemingly out of nowhere, a rugged figure from the wilderness, with a divine mandate to confront the king and turn the hearts of the people back to the one true God. His first recorded act was a bold and shocking proclamation directly to King Ahab. With unwavering authority, Elijah declared, "As the Lord, the God of Israel, lives, whom I serve, there will be neither dew nor rain in the next few years except at my word." This was not just a prediction of a natural disaster. It was a direct challenge to Baal, who was worshipped as the god of rain, fertility, and the storm. By declaring a drought, Elijah was essentially shutting down Baal as supposed domain and demonstrating that only the God of Israel held power over creation. This act of divine judgment set the stage for a prolonged and intense conflict between Elijah and the rulers of Israel. As the drought began to grip the land, God protected his prophet. He first sent Elijah to the Chariot ravine, where he was miraculously fed by ravens who brought him bread and meat each morning and evening. When the brook dried up, God sent him to Zarephath, a town outside of Israel, in the heart of Baal-worshipping territory. There, he met a poor widow who was gathering sticks to prepare a final meal for herself and her son before they expected to die from starvation. Despite her desperate situation, Elijah asked her for water and a piece of bread. He then gave her a promise from God: the jar of flour will not be used up and the jug of oil will not run dry until the day the Lord sends rain on the land. The widow acted in faith, and the miracle came to pass. Her small supply of flour and oil was supernaturally sustained, providing for her, her son, and Elijah throughout the long famine. This period not only sustained Elijah physically but also served as a powerful sign to a Gentile woman of God's provision and power, even beyond the borders of Israel. Later, when the widow's son fell ill and died, Elijah cried out to the Lord and stretched himself out on the boy 3 times. Miraculously, life returned to the child, further solidifying the widow's faith and demonstrating God's power over life and death itself. After 3.5 years of crippling drought, God commanded Elijah to present himself once again to King Ahab. The meeting was tense. Ahab greeted him with an accusation, "Is that you troubler of Israel?" But Elijah fearlessly turned the charge back on the king, saying, "I have not made trouble for Israel, but you and your father's family have. You have abandoned the Lord's commands and have followed the Baals." With this bold confrontation, Elijah issued a challenge for an epic spiritual showdown. He proposed a contest on Mount Carmel to finally and decisively prove who the true God was. The terms were simple: Elijah would represent the Lord, and the 450 prophets of Baal, sponsored by Queen Jezebel, would represent their God. 2 bulls would be prepared as sacrifices, one for each side, but no fire would be lit. "Then you call on the name of your God," Elijah declared, "and I will call on the name of the Lord. The God who answers by fire, he is God." The people who had gathered agreed that this was a fair test. So, on the summit of Mount Carmel, the stage was set for one of the most dramatic confrontations in history. The 450 prophets of Baal went first. They prepared their bull and began to call on Baal from morning until noon. They shouted, danced, and leaped around the altar they had built. But there was no response. No voice, no sound, no fire. As the day wore on, Elijah began to mock them. "Shout louder," he taunted. "Surely he is a god. Perhaps he is deep in thought, or busy, or traveling. Maybe he is sleeping and must be awakened." Spurred on by his mockery, the prophets became more frantic. They slashed themselves with swords and spears, a common pagan practice, until their blood flowed. They continued their desperate cries until the time for the evening sacrifice, but still, nothing happened. Their God was silent. Their power was a sham. Then, it was Elijah's turn. He calmly called the people to him and began to repair the Lord's altar, which had been torn down. He used 12 stones, one for each of the tribes of Israel, symbolizing the nation's unified identity under God. He dug a large trench around the altar. Then, he did something that seemed utterly counterintuitive. He ordered the people to douse the altar and the wood with water not once, not twice, but 3 times until the water filled the trench and soaked everything completely. This act removed any possibility of trickery, making the miracle that was about to happen even more undeniable. With everything prepared, Elijah stepped forward and prayed a simple, powerful prayer. He didn't shout or work himself into a frenzy. He spoke with quiet confidence to the God he knew and served. He prayed, "Lord, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God in Israel and that I am your servant and have done all these things at your command. Answer me, Lord, answer me, so these people will know that you, Lord, are God, and that you are turning their hearts back again." Instantly, the fire of the Lord fell from heaven. It was a supernatural fire that consumed not only the sacrifice but also the wood, the stones, the soil, and even the water in the trench, and cried out in unison, "The Lord, He is God! The Lord, He is God!" The contest was over. The God of Israel had proven His sovereignty in the most spectacular way imaginable. Following this victory, Elijah commanded the people to seize the prophets of Baal, and they were executed, purging the land of the false prophets who had led the nation astray. Immediately after, Elijah prayed again, and the sky grew black with clouds, and a heavy rain began to fall, ending the long drought and signifying God's restored blessing upon the land. One might expect this incredible victory to be the climax of Elijah's career, leading to national revival. However, the story takes a sharp and very human turn. When Queen Jezebel heard what had happened to her prophets, she was not converted, she was enraged. She sent a messenger to Elijah with a chilling threat, "May the gods deal with me, be it ever so severely, if by this time tomorrow I do not make your life like that of one of them." The man who had faced down 450 prophets and a hostile king now found himself fleeing for his life from the threat of one woman. He ran into the wilderness, exhausted, fearful, and utterly discouraged. He sat down under a broom tree and prayed to die, saying, "I have had enough, Lord. Take my life. I am no better than my ancestors." In this moment of deep despair, God did not rebuke his prophet. Instead, He ministered to him with gentle care. An angel touched him and provided him with food and water, strengthening him for the journey ahead. Elijah traveled for 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mountain of God, the same mountain where Moses had received the law. There, in a cave, Elijah continued to wallow in his sense of failure and isolation, telling God, "I have been very zealous for the Lord God Almighty. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too." God then revealed himself to Elijah, but not in the way one might expect. He told Elijah to stand on the mountain, for the Lord was about to pass by. First came a powerful wind that shattered the rocks, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind came an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, he knew it was the voice of God. In that still, small voice, God comforted Elijah, corrected his perspective by revealing that there were still 7,000 in Israel who had not bowed to Baal, and gave him new instructions. God was reminding Elijah, and all of us, that his presence is often found not in the loud, spectacular displays of power, but in the quiet, intimate moments. He restored Elijah's purpose, commissioning him to anoint new kings and to anoint Elisha as his successor. Elijah's life concluded in a manner as miraculous as it was lived. His work was done, and it was time to pass the mantle of leadership to his apprentice, Elisha. As the two men walked and talked together, a sudden, astonishing event occurred. A chariot of fire with horses of fire appeared and separated the two of them. Then, in a whirlwind, Elijah was taken up into heaven. He did not experience a natural death. Instead, he was directly translated from the earthly realm to the heavenly one, a rare honor in biblical history. As he ascended, his mantle fell to the ground. Elisha picked it up, a symbolic gesture of receiving the spiritual authority and power that had rested on Elijah. The story of Elijah is a powerful saga of faith, courage, and the unwavering power of God in the face of human rebellion and weakness. He was a man of intense passion and human frailty, yet he was used mightily by God to challenge corrupt power, confront idolatry, and call a nation back to its spiritual roots. From the dramatic fire on Mount Carmel to the gentle whisper in the cave, his life shows that God's power is absolute, and his plans are unstoppable. Elijah's fiery departure in a chariot served as a final, breathtaking testimony to the extraordinary life of a prophet who walked so closely with God. His legacy endures as a timeless reminder that even in the darkest of times, one person, empowered by God, can make an eternal difference. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, please like this video, share it with others, and subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories from the Bible.